Hey, what is up everyone? So in today's video, we're heading out in search of hunting some boars. So this is the thing that I probably was the most excited about with Season 15, because it feels like the one genuinely new piece of content that we're getting for Season 15. Everything else is good stuff. Obviously, a Hunter's Call Emissary, that's great. A Meg hunting voyage, which we got in this update, is also another great thing. The fishing voyages, I'm a little iffy on them, but I guess they're fine as a nice little bonus addition. The ambient wildlife, all that stuff is great. The two new ancient megalodons, those are cool. But if you really think about it, those are either reskins or redos of other stuff that we've already had in the game, like the fishing voyages. We've already had the fishing mechanic in the game for a long time. Really, all this is just basically making it a little bit more structured and making the fish treasure items instead of just like food, as well as like say the megalodons and the ancient megalodons. The ancient megalodons are just bigger versions of the megs that we already have with some added abilities. Still cool in their own right, and I'm happy that they're in the game, but nothing that really gets me too excited in terms of something new to do. So when they started talking about the boar hunting, I got really excited. So in today's video, I'm going to give you my thoughts on boar hunting and just go out and try to find some of their treasure. So here we are at the first island. I went ahead and bought one of the hunting spears. I've seen people say that the issue's still not fixed, but I was able to purchase one of the hunting spears from the Merchants Alliance, so that worked out well for me. I thought about grabbing some more, but I just went ahead and bought only one just because I was a little bit worried about it bugging out and that kind of stuff. Now, one of the things that I praised Season 15 for was how good the performance was of the game compared to previous seasons when the season first launched for Season 15. However, this time when I was playing, the servers felt terrible, and it could have been my internet connection, but I was, watching a video and stuff. I didn't have any like buffering or anything happening on my videos or anything else. So it seems like an issue with the servers, not my own personal connection. And I kept having many problems, such as trying to eat some food to heal up my health, which wasn't working, and then I got kicked from the game. When I went to go and stop at the Sovereign tent, I got kicked from the game again, and just other stuff, so it wasn't the greatest time trying to play Sea of Thieves, and this is my first time playing since the update released on Thursday. Moving on though to what we're really here for, which is the boars. So the idea of the boar hunting is that you're supposed to like find their tracks and like track them down and everything, and I was really excited for that. I was kind of ready for a little bit more interesting gameplay, something that was felt new to the game. What I ended up finding is I basically was just running around the island and then I saw treasure and I happened to stumble upon it. There was really no like tracking down where the boar was. It was really just look for the shiny thing and that's your treasure spot. I didn't even see any of the boar footprints except for like right next to where the treasure was. I was kind of expecting that to be something like from the shore of the island or something. You'd be able to see like the boar prints, or maybe it would be running around in that area and you'd be able to see it coming from behind them, but that was not my experience. I did the boar hunting voyage twice. I wanted to basically give it a fair shot. I didn't want to just base it off of one time to basically say like, oh, it's just basically go and grab the treasure and that's it. I wanted to give it 2 tries at least, and I'll definitely do it more in the future, but I wanted to give it a fair shot. So the first place that it sent me for this voyage was Snake Island. And obviously with Snake Island, since it's separated into 3 little islands, I wasn't sure where to go first. I started with the westmost island, since that's where my ship spawned in. That was where it was closest, so I kind of figured that maybe it would spawn me to the island that was closest to where the boars were, but it ended up being on the opposite side of Snake Island. So once I got over there, I just saw the treasure shining there. I didn't even notice the boar until after I'd passed by the treasure. The boar itself was not a challenge at all. I think this might be a little bit of a different story if the boar actually posed some kind of threat. I thought there would be more boars. I thought it was going to be like a pack of boars altogether, but both times that I did this, it was just one singular boar that was there protecting the treasure, and it posed no threat. I threw a hunting spear at it, and then I shot it with the blunderbuss, and it was dead. I think it's a little bit weird, this is kind of where it gets a little iffy. So on the one hand, I want the boars to be tougher. I think part of that is making it so that you have multiple boars all there protecting the loot, that would probably help make it so just kind of like a power by numbers type of thing. The other weird thing for me was with this, the hunting spear apparently does like a one-hit kill on players, but you need at least two of them to take down a boar. I'm not saying that, it needs to be a one-hit kill on the boar, but it just seems a little bit inconsistent, because usually the weapons in the game do more damage on the PvE enemies as opposed to player enemies. So this is like one of the few cases that I can think of where it's a one-hit kill for players, but multiple hits for animal life. Honestly, the bigger threat that I had when doing these boar hunting voyages was just the stuff that I kept spawning in, like the phantoms or the skeletons. And mostly because they just kept shooting me while I was trying to get the treasure in a spot that could be picked up by my ship. I think the boar hunting voyage is probably something that's fun for like emergent encounters, but as a voyage, I don't think it holds up that well. If it was something where we were actually tracking something down and you had to like follow the tracks and find where it's going and that kind of stuff, and then it led somewhere, maybe you had to like dig it up, or I don't know, some kind of thing, or make it more of a PvE action in the sense of like you're fighting multiple boars. They could have gone multiple ways with this, and either way would have been fine, honestly. But what we have right now is basically you just run around the island, find where the treasure spot is, kill the one boar that's there protecting it, which I didn't even get hit any of the times that I was fighting it. I probably, if I wanted to get hit, I probably would have to have done it on purpose and just stayed still. But for me, it was just pretty easy to avoid when it charged, the one or two times that it charged at me, and I just shot it once or twice. So it was very easy to complete, and I think the biggest problem, and this is something that I have in mind with all activities in the game, I think the amount of treasure that you have to carry to take back to your ship should be proportional to how long it takes to do the activity. So what I mean by that is, in both situations, I spent probably like 8 to 10 times longer bringing the treasure from wherever it was to my ship, as opposed to actually doing the activity. And that's just not that fun to me. Now, I like having a good amount of treasure there, but I could also see something for this situation where we have something like what we had with the skeleton camps, where you had like one really high value piece of treasure instead of having a bunch of stuff they had to carry back and forth. At Snake Island, it wasn't really a big deal. I didn't really mind too much because it was a short distance to go. But on a bigger island like the second island that I was at, where I had to run for a long period of time with multiple pieces of treasure, you get about 6 to 7 pieces of treasure when you're doing this. It just was a little bit cumbersome, and I just didn't really enjoy it. It was kind of just a waste. I was just watching a show in the background while I kind of ran back and forth. And I would rather spend more time just playing and fighting boars or tracking down treasure or something. Honestly, something that they could have done for this is potentially make it so that you find the track of the boars and then you find the treasure along the way. So instead of having like one big stash, maybe you have like only like 3 treasures that are in like the little stash, and then you have like some mini treasures that are along the path of where the boar traveled along. Might have been a little bit better. At least that would, fit more with the theme. In its current form, really all you do is just run around and look for the shining of the treasure. The second island that I went to, I didn't even see the boar. I just basically saw the treasure and I was just kind of looking around, and then I eventually saw the boar kind of moving around in the background. It was running away from me for a while. I had to go chase it down to be able to actually kill it. Another thing that could be interesting to update this a little bit and make it a little bit more interesting is potentially you have the boars that are guarding the treasure, but then as you take the treasure, more boars keep like appearing and spawning, and they start chasing you, and you have to kind of run with the treasure and get back to your ship or something, or you have to fight them off, and it'd be kind of more of like waves or something like that. That's another way you could do it. So maybe they get aggressive when you take their treasure, and maybe they're peaceful when you don't. I don't know. There's lots you could do with the boars. I think in concept it's really cool, but the execution left a lot to be desired. I'm definitely not saying this is a bad addition. I like having something new in the game, but it definitely fell below expectations. Honestly, I think this was a mistake to make a voyage. I get making it a voyage, you're making the Megs a voyage, which used to be an emergent encounter, now you can encounter them whenever you want. And honestly, the boar hunting, I wouldn't really want to go out and have to physically search, multiple islands just to find the boars somewhere, especially if it was going to be like what it is right now. But if it was something where I wasn't purposely trying to go find them, but it was something that I stumbled across as I was just on other voyages or just traversing other islands for whatever reason, I think it might be a little bit more special and a bit of a more lively thing in the game to have like these little new PvE enemies that had a little bit of treasure that was valuable to grab. I could see that being more of the way that this should work rather than it be a voyage. I feel like the quest table has made it so that we have like all the different activities in the game in one place, which in some ways is nice, but in other ways, Voyages used to be more of a substantial activity, not just anything that could possibly happen in the game. And I feel like that's the way Rare is going with this. I mean, what's next? Are we going to be able to go and battle a singular skeleton ship and not have to do the skeleton fleet if we want to fight skeleton ships on demand? Are we going to be able to go and fight a kraken on demand? I think you lose some of the magic when you don't have these emergent activities in the game, and the boar hunting should have probably fit more into an emergent activity rather than a new type of voyage. But those are my thoughts on boar hunting in the game. It was something that I was pretty excited for. It was the thing that I was most looking forward to with the season, and while I don't think it's terrible, it just didn't meet my expectations. I'd love to hear y'all's thoughts on this in the comments below, but if you enjoyed this video, it'd be great if you like and subscribed. And until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye, y'all.